Good morning, Facebook family, friends, Instagram family, TikTok family, whoever may be watching this from whatever social media platform that you may see it. Good morning. First off, I am thanking the Lord for another day, and this day is a special day because it's my birthday. So thank God for another birthday. Today I turned 44. And as my mother made sure to tell me every year that I was born on a Monday morning at like 6:20 a.m. So she always, no matter how old I get, she always calls me. Well, she may not call me that early because 6:20 is really early for a lot of people. But she makes sure that she doesn't call me until after that time passes. Then she'll call me and wish me a happy birthday. So that's the first part of this video. Just wanted to get that out the way. But now I want to talk about something that I feel needs to be said. And I'm not going to use any names when I say this because I don't want to put anybody out there that may not be able to handle the drawback that comes from me just being honest. And everything that I'm saying is just my opinion, but I'm realizing it more and more now that I see the results of what's happening. So what I want to talk about today is, let's talk about marriage. So I know a lot of people may not receive any advice from me because I'm divorced, but I do feel like you can learn things from divorce that can help you better yourself if you do get married again. And yes, I do plan on getting married again, but I'm going to make sure I take my time. I do feel like one of the reasons my first marriage did not work is because it was rushed. And no, it wasn't rushed because she was pregnant or anything like that, but it just felt right at the time. But hindsight, as they say, looking back on things that may have been missed and ignored, if I could tell my younger self anything, I would tell my younger self to slow down. There is no rush. And I feel like if I would have told my younger self that, and would have also told my younger self to not ignore red flags, but when red flags present themselves, either move on or address them, I really feel like that would have been great advice for me. But I also say that sometimes we may put ourselves in bad situations, but I feel like God is such an awesome God that even in the midst of a bad situation, he can protect us and he can save us and get us out of it. But I really do feel like he's the type of father and the type of father that's a loving father that would say, hey, I got you out of that situation this time, but don't put yourself back in that situation. So I say that to say, I realize that I have met some people that are married and that are friends of mine, but they're miserable. And it's sad because it seems that they got married out of obligation rather than being married because they truly found that help me. Now, I will express some examples of what I feel like people are, why I feel like people get married out of obligation, and then you can agree with my opinion, you can disagree, but I'm truly seeing the fruits of that kind of marriage because a lot of those marriages are ending in divorce. So number one, I see that people are getting married out of the convenience of having a place to stay. And I know y'all are like, what? But let's just say I know some people that their main goal in life is to be a leech. I'm going to just keep it real. I know people kind of nickname them pookies. I think that's the name they call them nowadays. I know back in my day, we called them bums. Whatever term you want to use, but this is a person that seems to have no, they don't want to accomplish anything in life. They set out all these great goals, but they don't work towards them. They will use and abuse people and think nothing of it. And when they are held accountable, they will quickly blame somebody else for the reason why they have done what they've done. So I say that to say, one of the reasons why some people get married is out of obligation or actually out of convenience, because they had no place to stay. And they have no family to go back to because they burned so many bridges. So they got with this person out of convenience. They weaseled their way in, got a place to stay, started receiving gifts and other things from this person because this person was so nice. They were doing it because they actually loved that person. But the other person, they didn't have that same kind of love. They were just there out of convenience, just to have a roof over their head. And the reason I say that the marriage was based on the wrong thing as far as convenience, because 2 months into the marriage, he's already cheating. So that lets you know that he really did not love that woman. He just was there for convenience, have a roof over his head. So that's one example. Another example, I feel it's unfortunate when people get married out of obligation. So we all, as Christians, we know that in the Bible, it is best to not. Okay, so it does say that you should save sex for marriage. And I agree with that. Just to be transparent, I did not have my first adult situation. Try to keep this PG until I was 28 years old. I know a lot of people are like shocked and they're like, nah, he lying. But no, I made a vow to God and I said, if you would help me stay, if you keep me from doing that, I will serve you and I will do the best that I can to wait until I'm married. Now, in all honesty, I know some people won't admit that they didn't make it, but I will admit that I was 28. My first experience was with the woman that I ended up marrying. We did not make it to the marriage bed. We did that before, but once we got engaged, we took like 6 months. We basically took a sabbatical somewhat from doing that for 6 months just to kind of honor God, even though we had already done it, but we just felt like it was a way to kind of almost like a way to make up for not doing it the way we should have. But I say that to say there are situations where we as Christians, we get in situations, and like my mom always told me, things happen late at night, and a lot of times you can avoid things happening late at night if you just don't put yourself in that situation. So I'm just saying, I feel that sometimes because we as Christians are so worried about what other people are going to think and say. We may have a adult situation with our significant other before we get married or before, and it could, let's just be honest, it could happen at any moment. Like, it could happen as a one night stand. It could happen the first time you meet this person. It could happen where y'all just were so attracted to each other, y'all just couldn't keep your hands off each other. But I'm saying sometimes, unfortunately, when that does happen, of course, you know what happens when we do adult situations, people can get pregnant. So I feel that sometimes people get married because of pregnancy, because they don't want to make that woman look bad. And then the man himself doesn't want to look bad. So they marry just because of babies on the way. But what I'm saying is, that's not a good reason to marry somebody, because as you can see, the results of marriages like that, a lot of them end in really nasty divorces. So all I'm saying is, just take it from someone who's been married and who did rush into a marriage. Now, I don't feel I married my ex-wife out of obligation or out of convenience. I really felt like I married her because we had been like good friends, close to best friends in high school. So we had an established history, and it was very refreshing for us to reconnect after so many years. And it felt like we were right back in high school and just really enjoying the friendship. So I felt like I did not get married out of those reasons that were not the best. But I will say the error or mistake I made was rushing in, and also, let's just be honest, that because of the fact that she was the first person I had an adult situation with, you almost feel, you basically, for men, when it's a man's very first time, that can create this whole dream situation where you're like in this dream world where you feel like, oh my goodness, she's the perfect person for me, and that's the woman I'm gonna love for the rest of my life. And you jump right in, head first, nose wide open, as they call it. But I will say I understand now why you want to wait till you're married, or you want to wait till at least you've had time to really test that relationship and make sure that it's strong, because there were red flags that I ignored. And if I would have not been so blindly in love, maybe things could have happened differently. And I'm not saying that it may have never been meant for me and my ex-wife to get married. It's just that I had to be better at expressing my disappointment, and better at standing up for myself, and also just knowing that if somebody can't champion you for a cause that you feel is right, and you feel that that person is almost never wanting to share the spotlight, that's a problem. That's a huge red flag. So I say all of that. I know it was a lot, but I just want to say that, let's just be honest. The best thing in life is to not jump into a situation just because of convenience, or just because of obligation. It is better for you to take your time, not be concerned about what someone else is going to say, because just like my late grandmother would say to me all the time, she said, Clay, people will talk about you whether you do right or if you do wrong. So why not just do what you know is right? And why not just make sure you're pleasing God and let people say what they're going to say? And I promise you, I thank God that my grandmother told me that, because there was a time in my life, being the son of an assistant pastor and an elder and being the son of a missionary, and everybody expects you to live flawlessly and live and have and make no mistakes, and they put all this pressure on you, and it could cause people to crack and it can cause people to lose it. But I thank God that I heard that from my grandmother, and it came a point where I just was like, look, you know what? I'm not care. I don't care what people think of me at this point, because my main focus is pleasing God. And I know if God is pleased with me, everything else is going to fall in line. So as far as my relationships with people, my friendships, my dating relationships, business, if God is pleased with my life and I'm walking like Christ and doing and approaching things, business, relationships, everything, if I'm approaching it with the love of Christ, it don't matter what people are saying, because lo and behold, I make it into heaven. All those naysayers, it ain't gonna matter. I received what I was working towards. I was working towards living a life where I could be a blessing to people. And then my reward is actually being able to see my Savior and enjoy heaven. So I would just pray with you today that you would take a moment to really assess your situation, assess your relationship, and if you're dating, engaged, or about to be married, really take your time. Don't let anyone rush you into getting married. Don't let anyone bully you into getting married. Don't let anyone guilt trip you into getting married, because they're not the one that's going to have to live with that person every day. Because I love the fact that my father and my mother told me the truth about marriage. They said some days we can hate each other. Like some days I don't even want to see them. But that's just how it is in real life with relationships. Not every day is going to be sunshine. There's going to be some rainy days, but what you have to focus on is hopefully you have way more sunshine and way more good days than the bad days. Because having those good days will help you love that person in spite of on your bad days. And then y'all can continue to make it. So, yeah, I'm about at the time that I wanted to stop at. So I just pray that you receive what I said. Just coming from a person that's been divorced. And like I said, I am motivated, and I pray that I will find my right person again and be married again. And hopefully this time it will be my last time. And I definitely believe that. And I know that you have to believe something for it to come to pass. But I pray that you would take your time. And those that are already married, if you're struggling, like if you feel like you are just not enjoying your marriage at all, if you feel like you and your spouse are just growing apart, I pray that you would not be so worried about what others think, and you would go get some assistance. Go get some marriage counseling. And I would say, please get marriage counseling from licensed professionals, and also get marriage counseling from people that are actually married and have been married for years, because getting advice from somebody that's single, that is just insanity. Because why would I try to learn how to work out from a person that's never worked out before? Like, why would I let some man that looked like the Michelin Man Or why would I let some person that look like Jabba the Hutt try to tell me how to work out, and they're not even eating right? They're not being disciplined in their workouts or being disciplined in what they're eating. So I see it the same way. The mistake that we can make as being people that are married is you're getting advice from single people. And the unfortunate part is some of them, they may want your spouse, so they're going to give you horrible advice, or they may want you, because we do have people that are just that devious. And then also some of them just want you to be miserable like they are. So they want to tell you everything to get you to give up on your marriage, get back out there in those streets. And then when you out there and you're missing your spouse, they're going to be laughing at you because they're like, hey, I got you out here to be miserable with me. You had a good man. And then the bad part is that person will probably go and get your spouse and be like, I wanted them anyway. So, like I said, just take the time to really think about what you want out of your relationship, and just make sure that it's fruitful, that it's God-centered, and that you take your time to make sure that you're building a strong foundation. Build that foundation on Christ and put Christ in the center of your relationship, and I promise you it'll work. Don't take my advice. I may not have had the best first experience, but I use my parents, who have been married for 48 years and still going strong. They are a prime example. And I've had other marriages in the church that are great examples to see. So it can work, but you got to make sure you find somebody that will put in that same effort that you'll put in. So until the next time, I pray that God keeps you and blesses you. And I pray that what I said helps somebody. God bless you. Thank you.